When is the right time to start any work? Who are the most important people in our lives? Whose words should we listen to? And what is the most important thing to do in life? My friends, a long time ago there was a great king. He had wealth, an army, power, everything. But there were 3 questions in his mind, the answers to which he was searching for. He believed that if he could know when the right time is to start any task, whose words he should listen to, and what the most important thing to do is, he would never fail. One day he announced that whoever could answer these 3 questions would be given a huge reward and would be appointed as a special minister in the royal court. Because the reward was so great, as soon as the announcement was made, many scholars, religious leaders, war generals, and brave warriors gathered in the king's court. Each one gave their own different answers. The scholars said that the right time is always planned in advance. Success lies in careful planning. The generals said, "No, Your Majesty. Wasting time is the biggest mistake. Act immediately. Delay is death." The commanders said, "No, the most important people are soldiers and generals, because without them, kingdoms cannot survive." The merchants said, "The most important work is trade and strengthening the economy, because without wealth, the kingdom becomes weak." These answers were so different that the king became even more confused. None of the answers satisfied his heart. One day, one of his closest ministers, in whom the king had great trust, told him about a wise hermit who lived alone in the forest and was very famous for his wisdom. The king thought that perhaps this was the man who knew the truth. The next day he removed his royal clothes, wore simple garments, and went alone on horseback toward the forest. He traveled the entire day, passing through tall, dense trees, hearing the sounds of birds and feeling the cool breeze, until he finally reached a small hut. There he saw an old man working in his garden, digging the soil. His face was full of wrinkles, but there was a calm glow in his eyes. The king greeted him respectfully. The old man glanced at him once and went back to his work. The king said politely, "I have come in search of wisdom. I have 3 questions. Tell me, when is the right time to do any work? Who are the most important people in life? And what is the most important thing to do?" The old man gave no reply. He just kept digging silently. He was breathing heavily and sweating. Seeing his condition, the king decided to help him. The old man sat under a tree, exhausted, while the king picked up the spade and began digging the ground. The sun began to set. Night was approaching, but the old man still had not given any answer. Suddenly there was a rustling sound in the bushes. A man came running out. He was wounded and bleeding, and he stumbled and fell at the king's feet. The king quickly picked him up and took him to the hut. He washed his wounds and cleaned them. The old man brought some ointment, and the king tore his own clothes to bandage the wounds. The king was tired, but he stayed up the entire night by the man's side, taking care of him, giving him water, wiping his forehead. When the sun rose, the wounded man opened his eyes. Seeing the king in the sunlight, tears flowed from his eyes. He said, "Your Majesty, forgive me. I am your enemy. I had sworn to kill you because you had executed my brother. I heard you were coming to the forest, so I came to attack you, but you saved my life. Now I am your servant forever." The king was astonished to hear this. That moment changed his heart. For the first time he felt that defeating an enemy is not the greatest power. Turning an enemy into a friend is true success. The king was very happy and satisfied. He had saved a man's life and gained a loyal companion. But deep down he still felt a little disappointed because the real reason he had come here was still unresolved. He had not received the answers to his 3 questions. He asked the old man once again, for the last time, about his questions. The old man looked at him with a smile and said, "But your questions have already been answered." The king was surprised and asked, "How?" The old man said, "If you had not stayed to help me dig the garden yesterday, you would not have heard this wounded man's cry. Therefore, the most important time was the time you spent helping me dig. At that moment, the most important person was me, and the most important work was helping me dig the garden. When you met the wounded man, the most important person was him, because he needed help. and the most important work was saving his life. Remember, there is only one moment that is truly precious in life, and that moment is the present moment, this very moment, because it is the only time under your control. You have no power over the past, and no power over the future, because the past is gone, and the future has not yet come. Therefore, the most important time is now. The most important people are those who are with you right now, because tomorrow they may not be there. And the most important thing to do is to do good to them, treat them with kindness, because that is the true purpose of life. The king stood there silently. The old man's words had penetrated deep into his heart. He had discovered the greatest secret of life. He had realized that the secret of success, peace, and happiness does not lie in power, wealth, or conquests, but in kindness, presence, and love. From that day onward, the king's life changed. His way of ruling changed. He became more mindful of every moment, more just with every person, and more compassionate in every action. My friends, this story reminds us that the secret of success is not hidden in distant plans, but in this very moment we are alive. We must value this moment. Do good now. Give love now, because this moment is our real life.